limited the star player on their roster.
Yeah, I think that's a very, very strong strategy coming in here for Top Esports, but I feel like OMG right now could just take Gwen, Xin Zhao and just take the trade right now. Give Aki and Nu that really, really good combination between the top and jungle and just set yourself up for a strong top side.
I 100% agree. I think those are definitely the two picks that they should go for, and Penguin, you called it. But now there's going to be a lot of pressure on these members that we don't see step up all the time. Aki definitely coming off a great week. Nu has had some really insane solo kills this split, so the potential is definitely there. We just haven't seen it consistently from their side. Now for Top Esports, we're going to be looking at what they're going for, and I mean, 369 plays this pretty much every game now. He's played it 3 games out of the 6 that he has been on stage. It is the go-to counter to Gwen so far, unless you're like Bubu and you're willing to pull out something like the Kennen. Now for TS, we know they're going to need to look towards an AP jungler, unless they want to try and put JackeyLove on something like the Ziggs, which we haven't seen him on quite yet. The Diana is still open. We haven't really seen it too much in recent games, but you know, with Top Esports hovering the Aphelios, TS are one of the only teams that it wouldn't be surprising to see them leave jungle till 4-5 despite really needing an AP jungler, just from the fact that Karsa is willing to pull out subpar champions like the Gragas, like the Elise, and try and find an impact, you know, on those non-meta picks.
Yeah, it could be as well that they just put the Viego into the jungle. They can put Knight onto some kind of control mage. Syndra, of course, back. Cassiopeia. You got a couple of different members of the AP mid laners coming back in. And now we see the 2 AD carries being picked up. Jinx and Aphelios. So it's going to be hyper carries in the bot side. And OMG straight away going to be banning the Diana. I wouldn't even be surprised to see them ban away the Rumble.
Yeah, 100%. Ban away the Rumble, ban away the Diana. You're going to force him onto something like we hit on before. Maybe, you know, a Nidalee, get more poke, the Gragas, which is a famous Karsa special, and just try and keep distance, because for TS, despite having the Viego, I think their composition really shows to being able to play off range so far, with the fact you have both the Aphelios and the Jayce coming through. For OMG, you probably want to try and pull out some sort of engage in the support role right now, so we see the hover over the Leona. I feel like Leona or Nautilus, either one is fine in this position. Leona giving them more long-range engage with that ultimate, so doing better against champions like Jayce and Aphelios. I would love for the Braum to come out when we hit on for Top Esports to be playing this more kiting, more defensive role around range, and then we're going to be looking at Karsa. The jump out pick to me is still going to be something like the Gragas for him, but I wouldn't be surprised maybe if he tries to go towards something like a Nidalee, but one could be a bit rough. Actually going to potentially flex the Viego to the jungle. We have not seen Karsa played all too much, only having 1 game on the pick so far. It was a win. I didn't feel like he did all that much, but I would really love to see TS round out their comp is more of like a poke comp, more of this comp that wants to kite back, but instead going to go with the Ryze, so going to opt more into a bit of a pseudo 1-3-1 with how they want to play this one out with side lanes.
Absolutely, you've got a lot of safety with the Braum. You can just go with the roaming Karsa on the Viego, able to run around. And Qiyana locked and loaded here for OMG. Creme saying, look, you banned out 4 of my champions. It doesn't matter. I've got something on the back burner. And honestly, I'm looking at these compositions right now, and I feel like if OMG could just get ahead, even a slightly bit ahead, say 1 or 2k gold, maybe a dragon or 2 ahead, where they're forcing fights around these objectives, Top Esports are in a lot of trouble.
And to me, a lot of it comes down to that last pick of the Ryze. And I'm not a huge fan of it against, like, in the composition they could have built, to where, especially if you have the Viego mid, I really don't know what Creme can pick into that one. Then you have another defensive option for team fights, to where now Ryze, not a phenomenal team fighter, not necessarily a horrible team fighter. Your range is really the most awkward thing for Ryze in looking for those team fights, because you're always going to put yourself in range of an assassin like a Qiyana or a long-range AD carry like a Jinx, so going to be very tough for him to navigate. I agree with you. If OMG can find the flanks with Qiyana, if they can find a really nice supreme display of talent or engage, I definitely think they are favored in the 5v5, so where for Top Esports, it is more nuanced in how they need to play ahead with the side lane pressure. They need to be able to move first, they need to play around vision denial, and not let OMG be able to get into these spaces.
A big series now for both of these squads between Top Esports and OMG. They both would love a win here today. It is only the first game of a best of 3, but momentum is so important with these teams, and especially when you're looking against a potential playoff opponent, you want to show that you are better than them and you can make the deep run. As we are going to be jumping in to the Rift for our first game. We have a quick look there. Nothing too untoward with the summoners. Of course, Qiyana going to go with the electrocute, looking for that big old burst.
And we're going to be looking at, I think, the mid jungle quite a bit going into this game, right? Ryze has a setup to bring the Viego into mid lane, and then Qiyana and Xin Zhao both having gap closers, being able to get onto the enemy laner very easily, and a lot of bursts between those two champions as well. So if Knight oversteps, if they can bring the Xin Zhao, there's definitely kill threat there. The nice thing going for top esports 2v2 on the opposite side is that you do have mixed damage coming in from your mid jungle role.
All right, top esports versus OMG. No Gyos today, no audience in the crowd, but we'll be enough of a... We'll bring the atmosphere onto Twitch chat as we wait to see exactly how both these teams kind of fan out and set themselves up. And other regions have Ornn duty. We have Jayce duty for 369. It's pretty much the exclusive pick he is picking as of today. And Aki walking face first, forced to flash. That was just a little bit too greedy there from the OMG jungler.
And that is definitely going to be rough. Gonna, lose some potential avenues to find ganks. We see a lot of time like W flash W coming out from Xin Zhao to close that distance, be able to get in there for some more of these either creative ganks is new. Gonna walk in and look for the trade, but not coming out in his favor either. Karsa gonna be left to do this buff alone, but I think he's gonna be fine on the Viego, having just very low cooldowns and a lot of sustain within his kit as well. And now we're going to get to some standard laning phases coming out. We've already highlighted the mid-jungle 2v2 really being the place to watch. I think in this bot lane matchup, I mean, you have Braum against, an engaged support like Leona. We shouldn't be expecting too much. And this top lane, Penguin, looks like it's going to be spicy.
It is going to be spicy. 369 should hit level 2 very, very shortly. And Nu has got the Dorn Shield, so sustaining quite nicely, but needs to be very, very wary of how that one's going to go. And with the early skirmishes now happening, speaking of early skirmishes, level 2 hit down bot side. Zhuo forced to flash away, and this bot lane already in the ascendancy for OMG. JackeyLove and Zhuo going to be finding it very difficult to get back into it.
Yeah, and, for OMG's bot lane, they had a 1 minion advantage that TES weren't respecting for that level 2 to come out, which forced Zhuo's flash. If they do stay neutral in terms of levels, respect the windows that each side has, I mean, neither side having a whole lot of ability to force onto the enemy AD carry. I think it's going to be a nice summoner for the side of top esports. Maybe it opens up a potential play for Aki on the potential bounce back that can come out in that bottom lane. And now we're going to be seeing on our screen, right, Knight going to have pressure in this matchup pretty much the whole time, as long as he can outplay those all-in windows. Definitely going to win the first 3 levels to get this push into turret, and it's going to open up prio for Karsa to be able to make the plays that he is looking for. Especially when you have so much prio on your top half of the map, we expect to see this coming out on top side, right? Invading enemy raptors, maybe contesting a second blue buff spawn. You can try and set up dives top lane with the fact that you have a Ryze once you hit that level 6 mark with the Realm Warp, as TS look like they're already making their way up top.
Doesn't need level 6, just needs to know that he's got a massive wave there, and with no jungle presence, that is going to be huge for OMG losing that top side. Top esports really punishing this early Gwen pick and just making sure that Nu just can't be a champion.
No, and he is still okay. So actually going to go with the recall. Would have been in a bit of a rough position. 369 already opening up such a massive CS lead. Nu's going to be able to get pretty close, picking up most of it, but 3-6 now in a good place, going back, having the tier on top of the longsword now, so going to start making his way towards his mythic and getting, especially after that, the mirror mana out, being on that really strong 2-item power spike for the Jayce. And we didn't expect to see too much early action pre-6, I think, from either side, especially when you're looking at OMG's team composition. Qiyana really wanting to get to that level 6 mark, get the supreme display of talent, and then you're looking for a lot of playmaking that can come out from OMG's side. And for TS, you have a ton of scaling on your side, as 369 just going to back off, but going back to it, you have Aphelios, you have the Ryze, you have the Viego, you do have a ton of damage that comes out later on, so I definitely think top esports are fine with a slower pace of early game. As, ooh, Penguin, look at where Cold is.
Yeah, I just noticed as well, there is a TP going to be used up top side. Ghost still available for Nu if he wants to try and go all in on this. It looks like that's exactly what he wants to try to do. Just jumps in, but then they got to jump back. Cold going to find himself with top of a pink ward, so 369 needs to respect that. But look, the rest of OMG are coming up here, and they're trying to say, look, give you a bit of a taste of your own medicine. You can't bully our top laner, we'll bully you. So
and I really like this play coming out from OMG.
Yeah, they're going to go for it. There's nowhere for 369 to go. And first blood goes over to Aki. The brothers defending the littlest brother, and they get themselves first blood onto the map.
This is an idea that we've talked about a lot that I don't feel like we see enough teams punish, is that Especially when you're going up against a Braum in the bottom lane, there isn't really any threat of all-in onto your AD carry. So you do have way more opportunities to move on the map and influence other lanes. So I love that Cold went for this play topside, which opens up for OMG to be able to invade top esports topside jungle. When we were hitting on that TS were the side that had topside pile, should be looking for these invades, and OMG did a nice job of shutting that down.
They shut it down, but because Top Esports recognized that a lot of resources were funneled up into that top side, meant the Dragon was completely free to be taken. So first Drake of the game going over to Top Esports. They'll be happy enough with that. Knight and Creme just exchanging blows a little bit. Level 6 still yet to be hit here by Creme as he had to go off for that roam to really make it work, and he's going to fall behind the Ryze. It's not really too much to worry about. It is going to happen. He just needs to try and find his plays elsewhere and his advantages elsewhere.
Definitely not about the laning matchup for Qiyana in this one. Whenever you see assassins come out, or even just skirmishers, bruisers, it's always about the 2v2s, the 3v3s, or even just the full-on team fights for them. So we're going to be looking when, for OMG, they can start looking for those. Rift Herald will be up in about a minute and a half, so that could be your first window as OMG to try and find a way to get some influence. Their bottom lane has been the one to keep up consistent pressure in terms of controlling the wave state, so maybe you'll be able to roam Cold up there first, have Abel sit around mid lane, and then look for that team fight around Herald.
You can see already in this top side just how difficult it does get as time goes on with levels going into this Gwen, that you just can't really trade as effectively anymore. Once that level 6 is hit, once that needlework becomes available for new, that lane becomes an awful lot more volatile, and you have to think twice now as 369 before you start jumping in all, you know, willy-nilly on top of this Gwen.
You know, Penguin, this might not be the most OP champion we've ever seen, but the problem with this champion, right, is the fact that you're good in laning phase, you're good in team fights, you have sustain, you get free resistances, you have AoE damage, you just have everything in your kit. And like you're saying, it's only going to get harder and harder for 369 is new, able to find a decent trade. 369 doing a nice job, though, of always switching to hammer form and making sure that New can't follow up.
Yeah, it's basically just knocking him back, making sure that he's just not going to be able to get anything going from Karsa, though. Is around this top side, has got the Heartbreaker available, but the pink ward down, he sees himself another pink ward, so he knows that New knows that he's around, so he's just going to back up, hand off this blue, and then the rest of Top Esports now hovering around this Rift Herald. It's going to be an early rotation from the bot side, so they're here first. They are waiting to see now if OMG do respond. There's a pink ward on it, so do OMG want to take this fight? It will be very difficult for them to go for it, so right now I feel like they're just a little bit too late to the party.
And this actually comes from what Top Esports did, because they dropped away bot to tower. They didn't push out and move first. Is Aki going to look for it?
Oh, they're going to look for the engage though onto JackeyLove, and he's just deleted. Nowhere for him to go. Use the cleanse, but all for naught. Great move by Creme to get the solo kill.
And Creme just knows his limits so well. JackeyLove trying to catch wave in mid, making his way through that corridor. Creme just flashes over the wall, knowing he has enough damage to get the kill. So OMG going to be able to get the kill. Still, TS are the ones who pick up the objective. So neither side really coming out massively ahead to what we could have seen. But we already hit on how JackeyLove did drop a wave, despite still being even in CS down in that bottom side. Does look like he should be able to get there in time to answer the next push coming in from Abel, but we're going to have some action up here.
Yeah, we are going to see Karsa sitting on top of a
no,
ward.
We're not, Penguin, we're not.
We should see it, though, soon, as Knight is roaming up. Hal's got the Realm Orb available to him. Aki is around, and maybe he's just going to try and interrupt this now, as they have found themselves in a bit of a 3v2. Karsa gonna have the Rift Herald as well, but there's the Realm Orb to cut off any escape. Now New between the minions and the tower, see if he can do anything here. There's the needlework coming down to try and keep him alive and sustain. He's trying his best, but there's nowhere for him to go. Karsa, though, in a lot of trouble. I feel like that wasn't the play to take that soul.
No, Karsa definitely just killed himself, 100%. I mean, he even had flash, right? So even if you're in any fear of, like, Aki falling up on you, you flash away towards your teammates, and then maybe Aki goes down as well, as we're going to get to see a replay of what happens. Creme flashing over the wall.
Doesn't even hit him with the ult.
Doesn't even hit him. Just has enough burst between the rest of his combo to go for it. But it's confidence plays like that that really feels like separate Creme from other players here in the LPL, right? Is that you have a lot of aggressive players, not a lot of confident players in the LPL, but it seems like Creme always understands like how much damage his champion is able to put out, and he's always going to full commit to a play, because think about it. If one thing in that play goes wrong and you don't have enough damage and the rest of the top esports members can collapse, or if JackeyLove just backs off, you now don't have flash, you don't have ultimate, and you aren't going to be that useful in the skirmish. So Creme pretty much all inning, just knowing that he can make it work.
Yeah, and again, this kind of comes down to what we were talking about earlier today, where JackeyLove hasn't been playing very well. Honestly, he's been very much a detriment at times to his team. And if these are the kind of things that are happening consistently as we move into playoffs, literally next week, this is a massive, massive hole in the armor of top esports. This is this is the ventilation system and the Death Star right now for top esports. It's just so easy for them to be able to find it and kill it.
I think especially right now, where for JackeyLove is sitting on a bit of an item advantage, right? Having the Noon Quiver because he started Longsword, Vampiric Scepter compared to just Pickaxe and double Longsword for Abel. This could have been a place where you would try to look for 3v3s around for the side of TS, even having Braum, who's an exceptional skirmisher, but instead just going to keep playing towards that top half of the map with the CS advantage that 369 has built up. The point is, JackeyLove does have the opportunity to be a massive influence on this game. New stunned up.
Yep, stunned up, taken down, nowhere for him to go. So that's a nice little repeat gank there from Karsa. Uses his flash to get himself right into range of the stun. They knew they had dead to rights as the jungler was taken down. They drop Rift Herald, so they're going to continue to put in resources to this top side. While that's happening, though, you can see there, Knight has to back away. He cannot stay in this mid lane or he's just dead. So OMG still being proactive and still looking around the map to see if they can get something back.
Zhuo being pretty late on the rotation as well to try and hover over. Waiting till the other members of OMG start making their way towards the top side. Still, TS going to get resets off, so are going to be making their way back on the map. 369 having the Eclipse now is pretty big. A lot of his damage is going to start to hurt. It is going to be sticking. Does have the sustain there for any extended trades he does go for in that top side. Now we're going to be looking at how TS can use this long lane. 369 pushing out, rotating over, getting vision down in topside jungle for the second Rift Herald spawn to see if you can guarantee that one for yourselves and not allow OMG to walk into the space.
I gotta say, though, I am so afraid for anyone on top esports if Creme finds them. He is just foregoing boots, does not care, already got the Prowler's Claw and the Serrated Dirk on top of it. His just straight up burst as of right now is disgusting. He will find and kill pretty much anybody in the side of top esports, so you have to be respectful of that, and you have to be very, very careful as we come up towards the 12.5 or 13-minute mark. And I think you're not really upset with Jayce getting ahead against the Gwen. Like you said in the Champ Select, it is something that has been verified by many teams as a good counter, or at least a good answer into the Gwen. And the Gwen doesn't seem to mind that much. Yes, the early game sucks, but the later the game goes on, you're dandy.
I also feel like for TS, we've seen that, right, their best playstyle last year was playing around topside, was setting up 369, not really enabling JackeyLove. So the fact that TS just want to keep sticking to that, I think, is quite understandable. And even in the few games we've seen so far of 369, I think he's at least shown he can be a bit more reliable than JackeyLove in terms of stepping up to try and be a carry. So TS gonna keep going with this one. For now, we just are ping-ponging waves back and forth. With the Rift Herald about to spawn soon, I do want to see TS now start using this time to get vision in the enemy jungle. We see Zhuo on a base right now, can start making his way up towards the top side of the map. You have push up there, Knight going to go for a recall, can make his way back, but even has the TP if needed. And we're going to see it now. Karsa making his way in, does have to be careful though, because Cold is there.
See what they want to go for. Rift Herald about 30 or so seconds away from spawning right now, as we see New being jumped on right here, but I think he might have gone a little bit too far forward for 369, as now he's forced to flash away. You see Cold going in, does land the Solar Flare right on the edge of it to get the stun. He's going to try and all in onto New, but I don't think he's got anywhere to go. Cold will pick that one up with the Ignite, and now it's a 3v3 in the top side, as everyone's already used everything to try and kill 369. There's a fantastic movement, though, from Ryze to get himself right behind everybody, dodges out the ultimate from Creme and keeps himself alive and well. Cold will get out, but top esports will take the fight.
I can't believe that's just a 1-for-1 in the end. Both Cold and New getting so low in terms of health bars. Had the rotation come out a bit sooner, feels like 369 top esports could have been able to get a lot more. 369 potentially able to live, but still, TS go 1-for-1 in kills. They're going to be the team to pick up the Rift Herald. Now they're going to be able to turn towards the mid lane. Braum and Aphelios already there, but looks like Knight looking for something on New.
Yep, New might be in a lot of trouble. The Everfrost and the lockdown is enough. A Knight with his 32nd solo kill will break Marin's record for the most solo kills in a regular season.
Really great stuff coming out from Knight. We're going to get back into the replay to see another kill that went down. 369 doing such an exceptional job with the short burst trades and then getting away. Sadly, this time the rest of OMG were here. Does flash pretty early to try dodge out on the slow from the needlework, but still Cold able to get that ultimate off. The other members of Top Esports are going to make their way here with the Realm Warp. As, you know, I guess we don't get to see the rest of the clip, and there's nothing happening on our screen, so I'm not quite sure why.
I think they're just setting up the 32nd solo kill, the record-breaking season for Knight. It is mad to me, maddening to me, if you will, that Knight is having probably the best solo season of his life, and he's sitting at 8-6. Like, you have the record for the most regular split solo kills, and you're sitting at 8-6. That is mind-blowing to me.
It's not even just solo kills, right? Because I feel like sometimes there could be stats like that sound really impressive, but maybe the play doesn't back it up. But with the eye test, Knight's play backs it up. Knight has been just having a phenomenal split all around. We'll come back to that later with Dragon posturing going down on both sides. New is pressuring the top side, but he does have TP available.
He has TP, but I don't think they want to fight this. OMG going to be forced to use the Crescent Guard to get himself out, but now the TP comes in. Sodafar lands a slow onto 4 members, but again, New not really in a position to be able to take this fight right now. Still waiting on a couple of key items, still very much put behind from this early game, so Top Esports will get the TP, and they'll get themselves a Dragon, but they'll lose mid-tier 1.
I find the New TP very strange because you could have gone for that mid play regardless, right? You could have started moving towards mid, and then Top Esports would have followed you. Then you could channel the TP play while you are hitting that mid turret. Comes out a bit early. I guess it doesn't really make too much of a difference in the end, especially with the fact that 369 ends up using his TP towards top side, but just a little bit perplexing. We need to keep our eyes on the fact that Karsa does still have the Rift Herald, though. You'd expect Top Esports are definitely going to use that towards the mid lane with the fact that both top and bot outer turrets are down. TES are already hovering over towards mid. Is Karsa not quite there just yet, but it does look like they're setting up this play.
It does look like this as they are pushing it towards the mid. They'll drop down the Rift Herald. No real way that Abel or Aki, hell, even Cold right now, are going to be able to defend this one. They're going to have to give up the tower now once the Rift Herald gets its charge. It's a perfect range to just pop dead down, and nothing you can do here for OMG. They'll stop it from a second charge and move back on to their merry ways. So we're probably not going to see a fight for a little bit of a while unless someone really does overextend, but Creme going to be trying to see if he can get someone caught out. They are throwing out the rocket to see if they can steal away the red buff. I love the idea, Lyric. I love the gutso to go for it.
I mean, the thing is, what are you going to be fighting for on the map right now? There's no Herald, there's no Dragon, there's really nothing to look to contest, so use the rocket, see if you get it. If not, just wait out the cooldown. Not too much should happen otherwise, as more trading. But 369 always going to go for the short burst. Does know he loses out in an extended trade. Just the amount of damage that Gwen can put out consistently in general, as well as having the Conqueror. You know, she will win out in those longer trades, as Knight wants to keep extending that solo kill record.
Yeah, you want to make it as insurmountable as possible. Not quite going to be able to catch anything just yet. Karsa is here as they fight over the Krugs. It does go over. Winner point, if you will, to Karsa. 15 love if you're a tennis fan. And again, nothing really too untoward. I am still a bit quietly concerned about Top Esports. I do think they've done great in this early game. 3,500 gold. They've got themselves 2 dragons. Sadly for them, it is a Cloud Soul, so not the greatest in terms of combat stats. But I think for them, they need to just continue the good moves they're making so far, because if this game does get to 2, 3, 4 items in the game, where you have 3 items onto the Gwen, the 3 items onto the Jinx, and hell, even the Qiyana, you are going to struggle as Top Esports, as they're going to have to try and, you know, implement this 1-3-1. I think that in 2 items time, they won't even be able to take a 1-3-1 into the enemy of OMG.
I don't think it's like over for TS if it does just keep going on later into the game, because right, they have Aphelios damage coming out. Jayce's damage is going to hit like a truck on most members of OMG. Viego and Ryze both scale quite well as well. The big thing for me is if Creme will be able to land his combo, if Creme will be able to, you know, get a big supreme display of talent, because if he doesn't, Qiyana just isn't that much of a champion. If Creme can get shut out of these fights later on, TS can control vision, they could just poke you from afar, then, you know, it doesn't really matter what Gwen or Jinx can do when you are playing what would be effectively a 4v5. So For TS, definitely still having angles to where they can take this one the longer the game goes. We do have 2 items on both sides of the mid lane, with Knight actually picking up a Frozen Heart. A lot of respect going over to Creme, just the amount of AD and burst damage on the opposite side. Of course, he's Ryze as well, so just getting more mana is always nice for your damage there. Dragon about a minute away, so TS already posturing. We're going to look to see if Creme can once again set up the flank angle that he was trying to find before. OMG weren't willing to pull the trigger on that one with the lack of vision that they had from the setup that had already come from TS. But 369, setting up something a little cheeky, doesn't hit.
Nope, does not hit the accelerated shock blast, so needs to back himself up. I think this is where you start to get a little scared now if you're at 369. The Riftmaker has been finished up, and you are definitely in much more control here from Nu, as we can see Cold and Creme just sitting around this Dragon Pit. Lots of walls around this Dragon Pit, and that's where OMG want to be setting themselves up. JackeyLove going to eat up the minion wave in mid, and with 30 seconds until this dragon spawns, OMG, they're the ones with their first foot in the pit.
But top esports are the one who have their side lane set up. You look at the minimap, both top and bot are being pushed out, so OMG are losing something on the map for this. TS now in a position to push out mid wave. We're going to see if they can enter, but Aki looks for the engage.
Aki looks for a little bit of engage, just peppering Zhuo down a little bit. Won't be too crazy about it. Important to know every summoner available, so this is going to be a full 5v5, but a great accelerated shock blast just keeps everybody at bay. Cole trying to look for something, flashes in, tries to go and get something down. There is the ultimate, but it doesn't land onto any wall, so nobody is stunned. And now Abel trying to see if he can just keep kiting off on the back of this fight, but I don't think he can. Top Esports are chasing them down, and blink and you'll miss it. Triple kill going over to Karsa straight away, and the ace. Top Esports now in full control.
And we saw what we were talking about. By the time OMG can even enter River, they're already chunked out. Cold was pretty much dead by the time that he had found the engage. You're effectively going into a 4v5, all just clumping in against an Aphelios, against a Braum, which is setting up for Karsa to find those resets. And now Top Esports get a Baron.
They get a Baron, they get themselves onto Soul Point. Top Esports also will take themselves up to about probably a 9,000 gold lead once this Baron is taken. So lots and lots going in their favor, and this is just such a great fight from Top Esports. They're so low before they can get in.
Yeah, we're gonna see it here. Not even doing a ton of damage there onto Cold as Creme comes in and just really flopping with the ultimate. Not really having an exceptional game on the Qiyana this time around. It sets up for that first initial reset to come out, and JackeyLove even having great guns, right? Both Crescendum Severum, so highest DPS he can get. Then Karsa able to find the resets off of it. We have seen Creme play Qiyana before. It was one of his first games of the split, and back then he had an exceptional performance on the champion. But still, this is why we were highlighting. I've wanted to see teams do this against OMG for a while now. Ban Qiyana and Sylas, leave open the Viego if you're blue side, take it away, and if you're red, just ban all 3. Just put Creme onto champions that he's probably less practiced on, even if it is still champions that are in his wheelhouse. Because we've seen, it's been the Qiyanas, it's been the Kassadins, it's been things like Lucian as well. Not his bread and butter of you know, that holy trio he picks every game.
Yeah, it feels like Creme is definitely suffering a little bit, and it's not for want of trying. He is definitely looking for these engages. He is definitely looking to become a big, massive, you know, thorn in the side of Top Esports, but Top Esports was playing it so well, and got to admit that little flub on the ult there right at the last team fight was definitely not what you want to be seeing from the mid laner.
To be fair, he still did get the stun off, right? He wasn't River, but I still think it wasn't the greatest position to set up for the rest of the team to find damage. Is Top Esports now? I mean, they're still just going to get too much damage down onto the members of OMG before OMG are able to walk in. So
yep.
It feels like OMG are in such a rough position. Creme's still trying to find an angle.
But it is Top Esports who are herding him away, as they now have themselves the inhibitor in mid lane. So they break open the base, 9,000 gold lead, 1 dragon away from Soul. Top Esports still with about a minute of Baron, so they're going to be able to take away this top tier 2 as well. And honestly, I think the game plan from Top Esports was just very, very solid. Keep Nu on this Gwen down, make sure he doesn't get rolling, and then with the mid game, we're just going to be so much stronger.
I mean, now just gold difference, right? 10k gold lead for the side of Top Esports. They're going to be able to keep funneling down. They have such good siege under these turrets. For Top Esports, they're not even pushing in sides. They're just staying as 5-man core.
They're trying to 5-man core and trying to see OMG go for the engage. They will get the Crescent's Guard out. As you can see, Cole trying to just play Bouncer, seeing if he can keep him away. But Abel already taking so much damage just passively on the back end of that. But good ult from Creme does take down 369. They trade it back 2 for 1 in favor of Top Esports, and Karsa's not done. Karsa's still pushing, still looking, still hungry to make this another one. He'll have one more auto attack. Is the red buff enough? Yes, it is. Enough damage to take him down. That is going to be pretty much all of the base taken down. I don't think he can defend this, OMG.
No, Top Esports, they do need to be a bit careful because of Abel, but they have enough members here. They can just keep going.
They can. The Realm Orb going to be used, and actually going to be used to take down all 3 inhibitor turrets and inhibitors. They're just going straight away for the easy, quick, not the easy, quick win, excuse me, but even more so the easier objective. As they get themselves out, they recognize that Abel was a Jinx, and Jinx can get a bit scary in these later game team fights, but this is a desperation move from OMG, and they're just too far behind.
There's just no other move for them to make. You're not even opening yourself up as Top Esports to be punished on the opposite side of the map if someone like 369 was solo pushing. So they need to run in, they need to force the engage. They do go on to Karsa, but he's able to survive it long enough. We saw how much work even Zhuo was able to do in that fight, and then JackeyLove and Knight being like artillery units on the backside that are just able to whittle down the front line, opening up space for Karsa to be able to follow through and finish off a lot of these kills, as Creme did go down in the end.
This is the you know, Karsa game, I suppose, that we've been wanting to see for a while. 6-1-4, been very, very proactive on the Viego, been exactly where he needs to be. And though in the early stages he wasn't 100% able to find everything he wanted, he still looked for the moves.
The top play, Penguin, the top play. But the team fighting, you know what? The team fighting was good this time around, right? He's definitely popping off, being on his core items, but OMG just going to keep looking for these cheeky plays. I wonder if TS will even walk in here.
I mean, they've no reason to. Why would you need to walk in there? And OMG now realize there are 6 super minions going in, and oh no, Lyric, now they have to engage on it, now they have to look for it. It's a good ult onto JackeyLove, but look at the healing! My god, you swear he was an Olaf with a gore drinker there for a second. That's it, that's all the game is, and there's nothing you can do here. You get ace, you went for a last-ditch effort, but look at the amount of minions. If Top Esports even died, I think the game's over anyway.
Now Top Esports are only 1 game away from locking in playoffs. Top Esports were the heavy favorites for getting that last spot, but there were a lot of doubts after their loss to Ultra Prime. Coming out, taking this win. It wasn't even a complete fiesta for Top Esports, which I feel like does define a lot of their games, if we're being honest. This time it was a bit more collected. We did see a lot of aggression coming out. We did see some mistakes, but at the end of the day, TS knew how to play their composition. They weren't allowing OMG to walk into those spaces. They were playing around their range and their poke, and at the end of the day, OMG weren't able to find those windows to get in and really pull off the flanks. Heck, and by the time they did, that last one on JackeyLove, that looks as good as it gets, but it was too late.
Just, these damage numbers are upsetting to look at if you're an OMG fan, because they never got their foot in the door. They never just got any kind of pressure in this game. They tried to mitigate some of the top side pressure, but then Top Esports had answers to that. And straight up, this is why we always give Top Esports that X factor. This is why we always look to them as a team that can just, out of nowhere, just drop you.
Top Esports are a team that I think people always hold in a high regard. I've been talking to some of the teams, about who they think their competition will be for world slots. And Top Esports is still a team every team and coaching staff I talk to puts at the top of their list. They're like, hey, Top Esports are still a deadly team. They're still probably one of the favorites to get one of those 4 world spots in most people's mind. So now we just have to see them actually be able to execute on the Rift like how you would assume they're executing in scrims if other teams do still hold them in such high regard. This time around, everything worked out. We did hit on quite a bit. I kept throwing out those excuses for 369 and Zhuo coming in that I think it is going to be easier and look better and better for their side. And even just going back to draft, I really did like those bans coming out from TS. Sure, I think OMG's comp definitely did look good coming out from draft. There was win conditions there. You can see how it fits together. But you're taking a lot of onus off of the clear star player on this roster.
Yeah, honestly, it feels like they had a game plan, they executed on that game plan, and there was nothing really that OMG could do about it. Just mentioning as well, you said those world spots. There, I would love a world where we ended up with T1, G2, TSM, and Top Esports all in play-ins. That would be my dream. As we kind of send it to a quick break. When we return, picks and bans for Game 2. We'll be